As I mentioned, my colleague Beth, who is from the BSD Global Marketing team, leads global marketing for BSD, is on the call, and she is going to be helping to assist in the moderation of the call for us this evening. Just for all of you, my name is Chris Geary. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BSD Education. I'm also the CEO of the Young Founders School, which is the partner organizing organization of the high school internship. I'm a long-term social, technology, and education entrepreneur. As well as doing that, I serve as the chairman of the board of an international school in Hong Kong, and I have a social entrepreneurship fellowship with MIT and in the US and Jacobs Foundation from Switzerland. So I wear a few different hats, but I've been an entrepreneur for my whole career. I'm just going to open a presentation now, which I will use to guide the information that I'm going to run through with you all today. I'm assuming that my screen is visible and that you can all see it. Good. As no one said no, then I'll assume that was a yes. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Zira, for your thumbs up. Okay, so first of all, so the high school internship program is, I think, quite unusual as a program, in that what we've been able to do with this program is open up the opportunity for high school or teenage students to get real world work experience internships with businesses around the world. We launched it out of BSD Education, and what BSD Education as an organization has been doing for the last 11 years, and we work with around 150,000 young people around the world, is we look to put together learning experiences that get the skills and the experiences that young people need to make those career decisions for themselves. So I'm going to talk a little bit first about the high school internship program, and then I'll close with a few thoughts about why these kind of experiences are so important, but actually getting more and more important as the world that we live in moves forward. So the first point about it being a transformational journey of professional growth and real world experience. So a lot of you guys, if you're sitting here as a student, or if you're listening to me as a parent, when you see from your children, or if as a student, one of the things that you will, I think one of the things that you will notice is we all have interests. You know, what we typically want to do in the future is we want to do something that connects strongly with our interests, and what we know and what we've learned and what we're capable of aligns with our interests and adds up to be a future possible career path for us, is something that we can only really get a grip to if we have a real world experience and some sort of professional growth while we're still in our teens, because this is where we're making a lot of decisions around what we're going to do in our future. So one of the things that we ask you during an internship experience, we ask you to reflect upon how you see your values, your attitudes, what kind of knowledge you've developed, and how your perspective towards the future of work has changed during the experience. You will learn new skills. A lot of the things, if you're a student or if you're a parent, that you will see your children learning is there are a lot of skills that happen at school or with an educational environment, but when you get into the business world, these things are done differently. Even when it comes to the use of a calendar, booking meetings, setting meeting agendas, those are all things that, again, you don't really feel the way that these things are done differently unless you actually experience that in a real world environment. Contributions in the high school internship are real projects. One of the things when we developed this program and we spoke to companies was that they said they wanted the experience to be mutually valuable for them. So every project that students do in the high school internship is a real project, and you will see the results of the work that you put in if you're a student then going into those companies that you are working with. One of the things with the high school internship program is it's a first step onto that career ladder. And even if you're a student and you're thinking, well, I'm not going to go to work in the next year or so, but you really want to be building those relationships early on so that you have those future connections to leverage off when you're in university, and then afterwards when you're a graduate and when you're and looking into the world of work. Or if you're going straight to the world of work from school, that you can leverage off those relationships even earlier. Typically, a lot of these kind of professional relationships are not able to be developed until young people are at university. But again, a lot of the time that's quite late, and young people have already made a lot of choices that have defined certain directions before they've established those networks. So one of the things that you will get with a high school internship is that first step into having a professional network that you can leverage. Now, the program, this is the high school internship program that we run, is in its third year right now. We've had over 400 high school students that have been through internships in the past. One of the things we've always asked students, we've asked educators, what have they observed of their students that have been through the experience? And educators have always say that they found the students that come back from the high school internship experiences have always had a kind of elevated perspective, a changed perspective in the way that they're viewing future prospects and the way they're thinking about the future of work. Within the network of companies of the high school internship program, we have over 200 companies now globally that support this program. That's from huge international tier 1 businesses, and I'll show you a couple of those logos that you'll recognize in a couple of minutes. But we also have smaller businesses, we have non-profits, and we have startups. So we've got a whole range of different types of companies. So when students, or when you apply for a high school internship with us, you're able to express the type of company that you're interested to work with. Do you want to work with a company? Do you want to do an internship with a company in a particular region of the world, with a particular industry, in a particular discipline within an industry? And we work to match you to that. And again, I will come back to that. The companies that work with our interns, 98% of those companies have said that they would go on to recommend to other companies to join. Okay. And what's interesting with that, that's a reflection of the internship work that students are doing. Yeah. The other piece is that 71% of the companies are willing to and do offer further working experiences to the students. So I said to you a minute ago that this is the start of that professional network. In 71 cases, companies are actually proactively offering further experience to young people who they've worked with through the high school internship program. So what does an internship experience look like? So the typical duration is 3 to 6 weeks. Now you might be thinking, well, why is that a range? So we've designed the program so that when a high school intern is doing an internship, you're typically spending about 4 hours a week on the internship, and that's meetings, project work, etc. So different projects within the internship experience take different amounts of time. Again, when you register for an internship, you can specify how much time you're willing to put into a project and how many weeks you're interested in doing the internship for. And because the work of the project is spread over a number of weeks, it's something that can be done during holiday time, but can also quite easily be done alongside study and term time as well. So the internships are open to students over the age of 15. Typically, the age range of students that do our high school internships is 15 to 18 years old. The internship style is both virtual and hybrid. So no internship is completely in person. However, many of the internships do offer in-person time during the period of the internship. And typically the only limiting factor to that is the geographical proximity between the company and between the intern. And so if you are an intern and you want to work with a company in person, we would endeavor to match you to a company that is geographically proximate to where you are based. The beginning and the end of every internship is done virtually. So the kickoff meeting and the final presentation is done virtually, and I'll explain that in a moment. But then that mid part where there are check-in meetings, milestones, advice sessions, or just project working sessions, many of our interns visit the companies, the company offices, and have meeting with the executives. Now, if there are any educators on this call listening, and for parents as well, we take steps to reflect proper safeguarding practices during any internship experience. So any interns that are going, we provide safeguarding training to people at companies. We're not able to do security background check on every person that is participating in an internship. However, we do that safeguarding training with companies and just make people aware of appropriate ways to communicate and behave with young people. At the end of the matching process, so when a student applies for a high school internship, as a student, you tell us about your preferences, about the type of company. As I said, you are able to take an internship project individually. You are also able to apply for an internship project as a team. And many of the companies that we work with are happy to work with teams on internships. So if you're a student and you don't feel confident necessarily taking that first step into an internship journey by yourself, you can apply for an internship with your friends or with your peers, or you could even request us to match you with another intern if you want to meet someone that you haven't worked with before. We can't promise particular company brands for a match. So we can't promise that we could match you with a particular investment bank or a particular technology company. But what we do is we endeavor to match you with the company the type of company that you say you want to work with. So if you want to work with a tier 1 technology company, we'll endeavor to match you with a tier 1 technology company within the industry and geographical area that you want to have your internship experience. So the internships that I mentioned, what students typically, or you typically have during the internship experiences, around 6 hours of contact with the host company professionals. So that is, you've got your kickoff meetings, but then you've got your check-ins, your updates, your project working sessions, but also during the internship, as a high school intern, you can also ask the business executives to spend a bit of time to explain their industry to you, to explain to you how you can plan a career path through that industry and how you can move your own objectives forward. So you can use that contact time as an intern for those ends, as well as obviously for the project work and for the check-ins. The way that the companies choose the projects is we have calibrated the projects to the skill and capability levels of high school students. The companies look at work they genuinely need to get done or projects that they genuinely have on hand. We match the project to the templated projects that we have. We adjust them for the context of the company, and then that becomes a high school internship project that is available. During the entirety of the internship experience, as well as the company participants, I would say, you're also free to say to your company host, to the person you're working with, hey, is there someone who does a particular role in your company that I could be introduced to, I could speak to, that would give me some of their time and some of their advice? So that mentorship is always available, but it's really important to ask for it and to request it. At the same time, throughout the whole of the internship experience, you have a BSD or Young Founders School internship advisor at your disposal. So our team checks in with you to make sure that your project work's going okay. If you get off a call and maybe there wasn't a question as a student that you asked and you think you should have asked, you don't need to worry about it. Our advisor will tell you, okay, how to go back to the business person, ask the question, and then get the information you need while still obviously looking professional and looking on the ball. And a big part of this, as well as obviously that network and doing that project and getting that portfolio artifact for yourself, you're really diving into that industry knowledge. You're getting that experience of different types of companies and getting that advice on what it takes to build a career in that industry. And then you can reflect back for yourself about whether that lines up with the type of opportunities that you want for yourself, your interests, your passions. Because I really would say that one of the most important things nowadays is to make sure that when you choose your career direction, choose something that you are genuinely interested and passionate about. So just a quick splash wall for you here. This is an example of some of the types of companies that we work with. You can see we work with non-profit and community service organizations. That is actually one of the most popular types of organization for students to work with, interestingly enough. We have venture capital funds. So B Capital Group is the venture capital fund of one of the co-founders of Facebook. Smile Group is one of the larger venture capital funds in India. And then some of these larger household names like Visa, KPMG, Toys R Us that you guys will have probably heard with in the past. And as I say, we've got a list of over 200 companies. We are seeing an increasing number. You saw that I mentioned earlier that we've had several hundred students come through the internship process. A number of students have started to take follow-on internships. So they might have tried working with a large international company in a particular industry, maybe finance, and then they might have said, oh, well, that was good, but it wasn't necessarily for me. And so they quite often would come back and do a second internship, maybe look at a boutique company in consulting or look at a startup in technology and just try the different working environments, the different types of people that you come across in those different environments. And so that's the different companies within the portfolio, the different partner companies that we have is very deliberate. So the opportunity is there for you as students to try different types of experiences and then work towards having the biggest network possible and the strongest possible connection to your passions and interests. So within those businesses, the typical projects that we find student and high school interns doing is business management, community, consulting, education, finance, medical, startups, and technology. Now, it doesn't mean that if it's a business management internship, it wouldn't involve elements of technology, because I would argue pretty much every single one of those areas, you'll come across some sort and you'll be using some form of technology within the experience. However, those are the most popular areas that our high school interns have been choosing over the last few years. Within those different business or industry areas, there are whole loads of different roles that interns typically slot into. And again, the ones on the right, you can see human resources, marketing, event management. By the way, they're in no particular order. That's just the order that I wrote them on the slide. Operations, sales, finance, legal. Those sustainability is very, very popular. And very in line with typical what we typically expect to see in trends with Gen Z as well. So again, those are different types of roles or departments within different types of industries that we typically see are available and in the most demand. So how does the program work? So right at the beginning, from your application, we look at the most suitable projects with the most suitable companies for you. We then match an intern with the company. With both sides happy, we then proceed to the Kickstart meeting. So the Kickstart meeting is a virtual meeting, and that gets that full briefing. Obviously, the project host and the interns meet for the first time. There's a bit of get to know you and ice breaking, and then there's the project briefing, Q&A, etc., and then setting the project program for the rest of the internship. During the internship, as I mentioned, there are project updates, milestones. At the end time, interns at any time in the program are free to book time with their host company representatives for anything from mentorship advice or just further questions about the project. At the end of the whole program, there is a final virtual meeting, which is a final presentation. So in the final presentation, a high school intern will present the project that they've completed during the internship. They'd answer any questions, and they'd hand the piece of work over. Very much like within a business, when we do a project within businesses on a week-to-week basis, there are always projects and pieces of work that we hand over between different people in a company. They're very representative of the real world. The host company representatives will give the interns direct feedback on the call. And the interns also, we ask to reflect upon how they have found the experience, and particularly to speak and to reference how the experience has impacted their values, attitudes, skills, and knowledge as a kind of a reflective framework. The final presentation meeting we record for you and we share with you. So if you're listening here and you're a high school intern, that becomes your artifact, that evidentiary artifact of the work that you did, all of the incredible feedback that you'll have from your project hosts. And that's something that, again, you can share with people to demonstrate the kind of work and real world experience that you've had and what you've delivered. We recommend, again, from a safeguarding perspective, with parental and or school permission, we do recommend that high school interns set up some form of a LinkedIn profile and connect with their host company representatives. But again, I would stress that's something we recommend it. It's not compulsory, but it's something that, again, should be done with parental and school permission. But again, that is the way that you can stay in touch with your host company representatives. You can connect with them, and you can also get a public recommendation on your LinkedIn profile from them. Students come into the internship with different skills and experiences and different backgrounds. And so one of the things we've done, we've created a 10-hour preparatory course. It's a self-study program. It's not compulsory, but highly, highly recommended. And your internship advisor will encourage you and push you a little bit to get through the program. But it's looking at business writing, marketing, information technology, and portfolio building. Those are all areas that we've just seen almost every intern benefits from some sort of coaching and learning in these different areas. As I mentioned, the way that we write email, the way that we communicate in an educational setting, the way that we communicate in a professional setting is different. And so again, that business writing course is really just to nurture and bridge the gap between the way that we communicated in those two areas as we're going from students to becoming interns. Marketing and communication is a big part of any internship. There are different technology platforms, even if you use them at school. If you're an intern, when you come to the business world, you will notice that a lot of things are used differently, particularly within professional collaboration. So again, this course is just there, and there are aspects of that we've seen every intern does benefit from. So why are these high school internships so important? Why is it important to have a high school internship? Why can't I just wait until university? Well, one of the things I'm gonna say right now is it's really important as early as possible. When you become aware that you're interested in particular career pathways and there are particular future opportunities that are becoming increasingly interesting for you if you're a student, or for your children if you're a parent listening to this, got to be aware that right now, the way AI is developing, there are signs and statistics coming up that it's affecting graduate hiring first. Okay, when someone directly from school or from university enters a company, the types of tasks and roles that those entry-level jobs perform are typically the roles and the tasks where you're learning about the business, learning about the industry, and quite a lot of it can be putting presentations together, managing the sharing of information, managing some the basics of and the foundations of projects. A lot of that work is becoming more and more easily automated. Therefore, more and more easily automated by AI. Therefore, where you have this interest in industries, you're going to need to be able to be more prepared for that industry than has been the case in the past. Therefore, it's a really good idea as early as possible to start trying different industries, trying to qualify and really get a good idea of your interests, where your passions lie, the types of opportunities you want to pursue in the future, and give yourself plenty of time, plenty of runway to really get into them, get a good understanding, dig into them, and be as prepared as possible when you go into that really, really competitive marketplace of getting that future career prospect. One of the things we always say at BSD is that your learning experiences must be relatable, they must be immersive, and they must be transferable. Yeah. So quite often what we learn at school might not be easily recognizable in the professional world that we see ourselves working in the future. Yeah. That's about things being relatable and being transferable. So you might be you might relate your schoolwork to your interests, but then you might not relate the skills that you've got to the world of the future. Okay, so an internship can let you apply what you've learned in your life so far, both in school, out of school, from your family environment. It's relatable to you in that you're taking an internship that matches to your interests and with the types of businesses that you're interested in. But then what we see again with the research that we've done as an organization, we see that the way that that learning really sticks and that you really get that full is being immersed. And the only way to being immersed is to go out into the world and to experience it for yourself. And so, but it can be really hard to get that opportunity if you're a teenager and you're of a school age. It's really hard to connect to companies. And therefore, the high school internship program is a really important bridge between what you love, what you've learned, and the world that you're going into in the future. As interns, as students, if you're a parent, your teenagers, they're making what we refer to as powerful decisions. Yeah. What we all want, what we either want for our children, or if you're a student here, what you want for yourself in the future. You want to be happy, you want to be wealthy, and you want to be healthy. Yeah. And one of the reasons why I say those three things is that, you know, when we do something that we care the most about, that we're most passionate about, we typically do it to our best ability. If we do something to our best ability, we will maximize our possible earnings and our the kind of the benefits and the wealth that we can accrue from that. And having that makes us, we can put ourselves in, we can live in the best neighborhoods, we can live in the best surroundings, we can be internationally mobile and have incredible experiences. And so when we come to the bottom of that, then what you're doing from being a teenager onwards is you're making what we call a powerful decision for yourself. That is a decision that has a longitudinal impact. It's a decision that relates to you matching what you love, what you've learned, what opportunities are available to you in the future. Because those decisions that you make from your teens onwards, some decisions open up more avenues, other decisions close off avenues. Now, you can close off avenues and open up avenues, but what we believe is that you should be doing that in a basis that is fully informed. And the way that you can be fully informed in that is by taking your skills and your interests into a professional environment, immersing yourself in that environment with an internship, seeing whether you like it, understanding the truth about what building a career and a future in that industry is. And then you can relate having that experience to make fully informed decisions for yourselves for your future. So that's the conclusion of the speaking portion of this info session. I hope if you're a parent or student listening to this presentation that you found it interesting. We are going to open up for some questions. I hope I've given you an understanding of what the internship process what the program looks like, what happens during the internship, and why a high school internship can set a student aside with that evidence of professional experience, but also can really help students make fully informed decisions for themselves for the future. So we are going to open up for some questions now. Again, if you've got questions that you want to ask me directly, you can just stick your hand up or ask them live here. You can also put those questions in the chat. We see the questions and then we can answer them from the chat.
We have one question from Will the same meeting happen next week?
Yes, so we have the same meeting next week, and there's another meeting the week after. So if anyone who wanted to join this session wasn't able to join this session, but they would like to join the session next week or the week after, that's no problem, and that's available for you. We will also share a recording of this session with participants. So I've got Samir, you've got your hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you, yes.
Hi, this is Samir's father, and
yes.
Good evening, everyone. So I got two questions. First is when you said that a student he does the internship from some other company, and he thought the opportunity available with you could be a good one, but it can be different, right? If he joins your internship and later halfway mark he's realized, no, this internship is not good for me, then what happens then?
Sure, absolutely. And so one of the reasons why we have an internship advisor from the BSD, the Young Founders School side, that supports the students all the way through the internship experience is exactly to manage that sort of a situation. So, of course, we've had students who've started internship and part the way through, they've decided it's not for them. There could be a life event comes up or whatever. So there are various different reasons that situation might occur. One of the first point of calls that we say to the young person is, the first point of call is, if you're thinking about that or you're unsure of that, you can reach out to your advisor and have a conversation with them. And that's complete. There's no risk to that. There's no, there's no issue. There's no judgment at all. At that point, then the internship advisor will advise you as the student on maybe how to communicate with the company. Sometimes the challenge could be, I don't feel like I'm getting the right experience with the company or with the representative of the company. So we'd advise them on how to raise that with the company and how to have a professional conversation about that. The second factor would be, I just don't like this business or industry. It's not what I thought it would be. In which case, the student, again, can go through with their advisor on how to communicate that with the student. And again, how to potentially exit the experience gracefully, but whilst maintaining a positive relationship with the host company and participants. At the same time, there can be, whether a life event comes up or something just says this, that for whatever reason, particularly out of the student's control, where the student isn't able to continue with the experience, again, talk to their advisor, and the student can talk with the company, or in the circumstance that the student isn't able to talk to the company directly, we would talk to them, and we typically see if the internship experience can be rearranged or maybe postponed to a future date, should the student want to continue on the experience with the company, but for personal circumstances and reasons at that time that it's not possible. So again, we've come across all of those different eventualities. It has happened. Of course, we hope it doesn't, but when it does, the internship advisor is there to support the student in that and make sure that regardless of the situation, that there comes out with a positive and professional outcome, and everyone can proceed with a good ongoing relationship.
Right. So linked to this question, I have this question, like my son is interested in engineering field. It could be computer engineering or maybe into aviation, aircraft maintenance engineering, some kind of engineering. So does your program provide internship in those lines?
Yes, we do. And so one of the things that we would, when your son does the application for the internship, one of the things we'd look at, we would ask your son to express there's an interest in engineering. And again, is that software engineering? Is it the engineering of the developed or the built environment? Is it infrastructure? Is it transportation? So we'd ask within the application form, there would be an opportunity for him to express that interest and the type of interest. And then we do have companies within our portfolio that take on those sorts of roles. And of course, from an engineering perspective, there are companies that are, of course, there is software and all of the technology world. For the built environment, there is engineering within the design space, the consultancy space, the actual construction space. And so what we try to do is within our portfolio of organizations, we try to match with the most appropriate area within the most appropriate organization. The only thing that we don't do is, for example, if a student comes to us and says, hey, I want an internship with Arup, we can't guarantee that we can get an internship with Arup unless, and we can't commit or promise that we can get an internship with a particular company, but we always try to match to as close to the specific criteria that matches most closely to the student's interests.
Thanks, Chris. And I have a last question. So I understand all these companies will be based in UAE. and it's going to be virtual. So what are this program timeline like? Is going to be only during the summer period, or we can the people can do after summer period as well?
Yeah, so great question. And so first, in terms of geographical location, where of course where students live in the UAE and they want to have a hybrid experience, of course, then we would seek to match them with a company within the UAE. Some students request a purely virtual experience because they might want to work with a company within a specific domain that might not exist in UAE, or they might say, I'd really love to work with a company from Singapore because in the future, I'd really love to be in Singapore or something like that. So again, we can look at geographical locations per the student specification. At the same time, yes, where a student wants to do a hybrid experience, that would need to be within the UAE if the student lives in the UAE. On to the second part of the question is, when do internships occur? So the vast majority of student internships that occur at the moment, they happen between the beginning of the spring. So typically at the end of the second trimester of the school year, around March, April time, through until the end of August, which is the end of the summer vacation or summer holiday, should I say. So that is when the majority of internships take place each year. What we do see, and I think that's reflective of two things. Obviously, one, the summertime is the most natural time when students have the most available and free time. But at the same time, it's also one of those things, until a student has tried an internship, they might not be confident or sure about how an internship could fit around their schoolwork during a school year. But what we are seeing now is an increasing number of interns who've taken their first internship experience, perhaps during the summer or Easter time. They are coming back. And what they'll find is we have a number of students, particularly maybe I would say sixth form or students in their final 2 years of school who've maybe completed an assessed program early, or they might have a coursework program that has a lighter workload in a particular trimester or semester. And in that case, we're seeing a growing number of students take up internships during term time alongside their work. And of course, we do ask students to check with their teachers and with their parents to make sure it would be appropriate for them to make the commitment to an internship during that time. But we say once students have been through an internship, we are seeing a greater number, and internships are available all year round. The partners that we work with do support us with internship projects all year round.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for answering all my questions. And I understand that your team will be telling us what is the onboard procedure. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So we did share a link at the end of the presentation. We will also be sharing a sign up link after this webinar. I've got a couple more questions coming in to me here on the chat. I'm just going to answer those from the chat. So Annika, thank you for your question. Is there a cost to this program? Yes. So the cost of the program is $700 US. At the same time, we do have a commitment with GEMS where there are a higher number of internships coming. We will be reducing that cost going in the future. One of the things I would talk about in relation to the cost, of course, within our internship program, we provide the course as well as all of the internship advisory and mentorship during the program. So that's what that's doing. One of the other things we do also have is if there are any students who want to do an internship but would not be able to pay for an internship, we also do support students all around the world from underprivileged backgrounds with internships too. So, but the cost of the program is $700 US per internship. And I say that goes back into taking the program forward. Could my friend and I apply for the same internship together and be able to join the same business and work together? Yes, you can. You can apply together to work on the same program together. Again, we do see quite a number of students who apply for an internship project and who might say, okay, the first time I'm doing an internship, I want to do it with a friend. That's absolutely fine. And almost all of our companies are very happy to have group projects on it. Again, on cost, if two students apply for the same project, we don't charge a full price. They split the cost of the internship. And so Zayan, you asked the question, if we are not doing good work for the internship, would we get fired or what? No, you're not going to get fired. The whole point of the internship is that, we all learn. None of us are perfect. We all learn. One of the reasons why you have that internship advisor is they've got your back. So your internship advisor could be sometimes a bit annoying because they will be bugging you, checking in, seeing how you're doing. And you might be like, come on, guys, leave me alone. I've got this. I'm on top of everything. But your internship advisor is there with you all the way through. At the same time, if you're struggling with organization, if you've got other stuff going on in the background, if you go to a meeting and don't get all the information you need, and you're worried or you're scared about going back and asking for information that you didn't ask for. That happens to the best of it. It happens to all of us in professional business meetings, no matter how much experience that we have. And so your advisor is there to help and support you all the way through. The big thing in business, and I would say this to any of you, 2 golden rules is like, we all make mistakes in business. In business, we're all playing a game and we're all trying to win, and we all make mistakes. Yeah. What we do is we always own our mistakes. We take accountability, and we address the work that we're doing with professionalism. We move forward. No one gets fired for that. And that's what I know all of you guys will do. And your advisor will always support you to do that. The other thing in your projects is you'll have milestones. You'll have deadlines within your projects. Again, things come up in life. Life changes. We have different obstacles that we face. The most important thing with your deadline, with your milestones, is that you communicate. Okay? You communicate about where you're up to. A deadline, you don't miss a deadline if you move a deadline. Okay, that might sound a little bit fickle, but the point is communicate, let people know where you're at. And then what you're doing is you're always delivering when you say that you will deliver. Okay, but again, throughout, no one's getting fired. Your internship advisor is there to support you. If it starts off difficult, it can still end brilliantly. And again, we help you out. We've got your back all the way through. So yeah, if you do an internship with a friend or as a pair, you can split the cost of it. You don't both pay the full amount each. The full amount is the whole is the whole project. So yeah, Zion and Anika, thank you very much for those questions.
I think we have one more question, Chris, from Sarah.
Okay.
How do I apply or contact to get details for the internship in Dubai?
Absolutely. So what we're going to do is the presentation that I gave today, we will share it. We will also share the registration link for the internship program up with all of you after this call. So everyone that registered for this call will have the registration link shared with them, so you can register for an internship after this call, and you can get signed up. Once you do that registration, our team will be in touch with you and start to look for a match between you and a company organization. So the link. So what I'll actually do right now, very quickly, is I'll actually I've got a link right here, so you can sign up you can sign up directly, but we will be sharing. So all of you who registered for this meeting, you shared your email details in order to register for this meeting. So we will be sending you the link to register after this meeting to the email address that you registered with. Okay. Cool. Zion, thank you for your questions on that. Really helpful, really great. So that is the conclusion of the info session this week. As we mentioned, we have another info session running again next week. So if you've got friends who hadn't signed up yet, please do spread the word and share the word with them. We're running an info session next week and the week after. Thank you all very much for joining this evening. I hope you have a good rest of the evening, and we look forward to hosting either your children or yourselves, if you're on here as a student, this summer for a high school internship, by all means, reach out to us if you've got any further questions. But thank you very much again, and hopefully see you all soon. Bye.